cloud once again. Okay, sir. So we are live and recording is being started.
Let me give me a few minutes, 1 minute.
Okay. So you take a start.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, everyone.
So we were really missing you, Awais, actually. That's why.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. So
Okay.
we have.
Let's start.
Let's start. So, gentlemen, from your side, I just need to ask you that is anyone try to install PostgreSQL engine at your own desktop? Anyone tried that? I guess not. It's fine. Let me share my screen. Sir, are you going to share anything from?
I was just saying that we are going to learn SQL today, and there are two resources. One is the book, and the other one is W3C tutorial, short tutorials, and of course your expertise. All three combined, and your Awais' expertise. All 3-4 combined, we'll start working on it. Let's share your screen and start working on SQL.
Okay, fine. Okay, I'm supposing that you are able to see my screen.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So before we start, I'll share you two links. The first.
Ashir, can you please mute your mic?
Okay, let me check this. Awais is our co-host or not? Okay. Co-host. So Awais, you are also a co-host. So if you see there's somebody.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this is my screen.
How did we arrive this? What software are you using?
Yeah. Actually, that's why I'm sharing two things on a chat. Everyone, I'll request everyone to check out the chat. There are two things. The one is the PostgreSQL, and I have shared the link in the chat, so you can download the PostgreSQL for Windows or for Mac or for Linux, whatever OS you are using. But you just need a desktop computer or a laptop computer. And the second thing is DBeaver. I don't know what should I pronounce that. So DBeaver, DBeaver, whatever it is now. There are two things for us. The one thing is, let me write so it could be, you could. One thing we need to know is for running PostgreSQL to our local computer, we need we need a server, that is the Postgres server. When you were install from Postgres, you will install the Postgres server, and there is another Okay. So when you start the Postgres, you will have two things. The one is Postgres server, which will actually the database engine. We have already discussed about the database engine, RDBMS, whatever, that the database engine actually perform our activity, actions, and everything, and keep our data in the safe place with the required integrity, availability, and security, and this type of things, which we have been shared last time. So we need this thing, but actually this server need a separate client to so we can have the one client which is called command line client. It's work with the CMD in Windows, and console or thing in the Mac or other PCs, which is called PSQL. So this is the command line tool, but actually some other tool also exists. So we need two things. Option one is one thing that we can find a command, and the other thing is the option two. So we have two things. UI, as you can see, this is a UI. So we can run different sort of commands to our Postgres SQL engine, and we can use connector to use SQL command in our application. So this is a very genuine thing, that either we are using or working on the Postgres SQL using SQL command directly. We can say it's an admin console or some side of administrative work, and we can use in our application. So whatever reason is, there's a two possibilities has been already available. So currently today we will use Postgres SQL client, and later on Aves will also provide you some connectivity type thing with the it's a web version, which is a Cockroach DB, and then we will also try to connect with our application using the Cockroach DB. Definitely, it would be a TypeScript application. So we will try how could we use RDBMS in our application. So till here, if anyone has any sort of question, please let me know. So now I suppose that you are aware about that the database engine is already installed and running. Now we need to use it, and for using the database engine, we need a set of commands. And the good thing or the bad thing is that the commands are very much standard. The SQL commands uses a standardized SQL or a structured language query language, which is a NC compliant and this type of things. So if you are learning some SQL things, you can use it with any sort of SQL, from MySQL, Postgres SQL, Oracle, SQL Server, anyone. So you doesn't need to learn new language for using any database server. For every and any database server, जो the command would be same, 90% same. Some functions or some special procedures might be different, but most of the time the command and command style would be very, very same. And the second thing is that, what is second thing? Let's see. We have to need a connectivity with that server. So if the server is running, it would be using a port so we can connect. So yeah, Sir Zia, can you explain about that the port thing so people could understand a bit? For example, the PostgreSQL is using 5432 port as a default.
Yes. The thing is, every machine are basically divided, every host is divided into logical ports. You're connecting to the same machine. But what you do is, for security and other reasons, you divide the communication in ports. For example, if you have a HTTP server running on, normally HTTP server runs on port number 80.
Yeah.
It are basically logical. It is not a physical port, but it is a logical port on the server. So there's this database running is 5432 port.
Okay.
You can select any port and all the communication goes coming in, so that you can separate out all the communication going to a particular software.
Okay. So it means that if I'm running, I'm also installed MySQL or Oracle in the same machine, because the port are different. So whenever I connect with that machine or that computer, and the IP address would be same, but the port would be different. So
yes,
even the IP address is same, because the ports are different. So my request for accessing or storing the data would be reached to the particular software,
yes,
particular server application, rather than going public to the all application running on the public server. So I hope you understand very well about the 5432. And we are also aware that if the local host,
Sir, we can say,
yes,
carry
sir,
on, please.
we can say that port number is like a directory address. Can I say that?
Whatever you think. If somebody has any issue, I guess Rao or Faisal has understand about the port. But if somebody else has any issue, please ask, because there are certain basic things. If you are not very much familiar with these basics of the database, you might have difficulty connecting with the database. And even anytime you want to access a database, it will ask two things. One is the IP address, and second one is the port. If you won't provide both things, you won't able to use it. So this is the interface of DBWare. DBWare. Sir, what should be the better pronunciation, easy to speak?
I was checking on they are calling it DBWare.
DBWare. Okay. So DBWare is a software that we will use as a client for managing or customizing or using our PostgreSQL. DBWare is I'm deleting the connection. Okay. Okay. Okay, so this is the starting point. If you have installed DBWare and going to use, you will get this particular thing, nothing else. So there is a menu, for example, file, edit, navigate, search, SQL editor, database. Because we are going to connect with the database, we can connect with the new database connection. And as we are aware that DBWare can use to connect different sort of databases. So we just need to use database of our choice and the Postgres. This is the beauty of the RDBMS. So whenever you will go for a client application, you will see that for the RDBMS, you always found multiple clients available, because RDBMS use a same or standardized language for communicating with the server. So it's easy. You just need a connecting driver. If you have an application, if you are creating your own application, you can also write that application or design that application that could access multiple databases. So same example go with the DBWare. So DBWare has designed an application and they are able to connect with multiple databases. They just need to add the connecting engine, or we can say the connector, and after that we were able to use that databases. It's very easy. Any question from here?
Can we start from the blank screen?
I couldn't hear your voice well. Hello? Awais, can you hear him?
I think something problem with his mic. Rao's
Okay.
mic is giving him a problem.
Okay. So Rao, if you have any issue, please write on the chat. He said asterisk can start with a blank screen. Okay. So currently, or luckily, the database is reside or database engine is available on my local machine. So I can use an IP, or the special name is called localhost, or I can use that 127.0.0.1, which is the IP number used for the accessing any server stored in your own machine, and the database type, which is the Postgres, and the authentication. I'm using the simple authentication, and the username, which is the Postgres, is a default username. We can create our own users. So this is also a good thing for working with the Postgres and other enterprise sort of databases, that we can create multiple user in the database. So our RDBMS will also take care that which data belongs to which person. So if example, we and Awais are using the same database engine, and we are storing our data separately. So it is possible for the engine that I would not be able to access or do anything with the Awais data, and Awais could not able to do with the my data. But I could allow, or I could grant right to Awais, so Awais could access my data using his own credentials. So
Let's get started. The first step is you connect to your database. And how did you do that?
username and the password.
Anis, I can't see your screen. It's coming blank totally.
Achha, maybe it is because that I'm using an overlap application, or maybe I'll try it, because this is a separate window. So let me share my full desktop.
Yes.
Okay. So now can you see
Yes,
the
yes.
window?
Yes.
Okay. Actually,
Please
this is
cancel it. Please cancel it and start again.
okay. So we will go in the database and trying to connect a new database connection, and we choose Postgres SQL, and this is the next, nothing else. And we need, it is possible that you can use the DBWare tool from other machines. You just need to provide the IP. For example, in your local area network, some you have installed the database on a separate machine. So you can provide the IP of that machine or name of that machine, and the port would be the default port. There's nothing to change, but you can change the machine, because the data is reside on my local machine. So I'm using a special keyword, the local host. Okay, and Let's see I'm providing the password correctly or not. Okay, let's check.
We are using dbeaver to connect to a Postgres SQL database, which is installed on your local machine.
Okay, wait a minute, let me check the password. Okay, got it.
Sir, can you explain a little bit more about the ports?
Yes, Milan, the port is, think of it as a logical port. Think of it normally in your laptop, for example, or your computer, you have different ports, USB port and others. That are physical ports to connect to a machine. But what we have done is, the computer scientists have what they have done is divided so that multiple applications can use the same machine. They have devised logical ports. On a single machine, you can have different number of ports. For example, all the HTTP servers run on port number 80. And as a Postgres database runs on 5432 port. They are just, so think of it as the IP address of the machine plus the port. Both of them combined uniquely identifies an application running on a particular machine.
Sir, ports that's we are using the Docker and Kubernetes. There are also logical ports, but in the case of Kubernetes, also a logical port or physical ports in Kubernetes case scenario.
All of them are logical ports.
So, okay, gentlemen, I have changed or able to provide the right password, and I'm connected with the Postgres server. So I can see the default Postgres default schema or default database, which I can see here. There are the schemas, and there's a schema is called the public schema. So when you connect with the Postgres, there are schema. You can create multiple schemas. Actually, schemas and sometimes databases. For example, if you are using MySQL or SQL Server, or so you will find databases there. But you are using Oracle or Postgres SQL, you will call schemas. So actually, schemas is a separation of different data. So it provides you ability to store different type of data separately or exclusively. For example, if you have two departments or two teams working, so you can store their data on a single machine or single server. So for example, if a team or a company is a sales team and the finance, so you can create different schema for finance team and different schema for the sales team. So both have a separate schema. So their data structures, their data storage tables, nothing would be shared each other. I hope is that clear. This is related to the security. So there are the three layers of SQL commands, which is let me okay. Can you see this everything, Ayon? So one thing is that, yeah. So one thing is the
What is DCL? Data command language, data definition language, data
Yeah,
manipulation
data
language.
actually we can say control.
Uh,
So we would use after that creating schemas, creating users, grant rights to party.
I think, sir, these have a.
I think your screen is hanged up.
Yeah, sir, and these have some internet issue.
Anish, we can't hear you. Let me call him. Maybe he doesn't know.
Sir, Anish is back.
Yes, he's back.
Sir, your mic is mute.
Okay.
We lost connection from your side.
Okay. So accessing, storing, and changing data. I hope that everyone remember that sometime for remembering certain things, we use certain character from different things. So for remembering things related to the DML, we can use CRUD, create, read, update, and delete.
Sir, can you please repeat all the stuff again because we
Yeah,
lose your connection.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, when we were using SQL server, or any RDBMS server, just like Postgres is, there are only three type of commands exist. The one commands we call DCL command, that is related to data control and security related. These commands using creating schemas or databases, creating users, and granting rights to a particular schema and users. For example, there are two things: you will create different sort of users and you will create different sort of schema. And then what will you do? You will grant a user to use a particular schema. There is a many to many relationship between the schema and user. A user can have multiple schemas, can access or store data to the multiple schemas, or a schema can have multiple user to use or access its data. So using this thing, we can divide our database server into a lot of different databases or schemas, and different schemas can be served as a data store for our different application, and with due isolation of the data. A user of a certain application or without having rights cannot access any schema. So I hope the DCL is clear for you. On the other hand, the DDL is related to designing. When we are going to design our databases, we have already discussed in our last class, we need to means that we are going to create tables, indexes, and other related things. The last thing, then we have designed the tables, indexes, and other things. We are going to create the database manipulation thing. It means storing, accessing, and changing the data. There are two things are very familiar in our RDBMS terminology. One is the CRUD and SIUD. CRUD means create, retrieve, update, and delete. Here create means we are creating a record. Retrieve means we are going to access the records. Update means update, and delete means deleting that particular row or records. SIUD means select, insert, update, and delete. There are 4 type of commands. So if you will talk about the commands, there are only, you will see that related to the database manipulation thing, we have only select, insert, update, and delete commands. So if you will check, there is only a few, I guess 13 or 14 commands hardly available for dealing the complete RDBMS. And using these commands and their relative clauses, we can easily handle everything. So here you can see that how mature the language is. We have very limited set of commands and still we are able to do anything. So it means it's, first of all, it's very easy, and second, it has a very limited vocabulary and limited command set. So using that is very easy. Here, before going further, if you have any question, please let me know.
So Anish, let me revise it. You are
Okay.
saying we have different commands available. There are 3 sets of commands. One is
Okay.
data control language.
Of course.
You basically create schemas, create users, grant rights to particular schemas or users.
Yes,
Then
of course,
there is
right.
the database design commands, where you create tables and indexes and other related things. Then there is database manipulation commands. Basically, you either insert a row, update a row, or delete a row, or select a row, query
Yeah.
the row.
Yeah.
They are basically, this is the structure of SQL.
Yeah, that's it. So one thing I need to mention then, sometime we use a language query. Query is a very so mostly we use database query. So database query is mostly equal to select, but sometime so when we call word query, query is nothing a command. Query is a terminology. So as you can see that whenever I say data, I say control, sorry, I write control, I said data, I said security, I write schema, I write grant, I write rights. So you can see the color is being changed. It means that the select, insert, update, and delete is a command word, a command, but query is not a command. So, but query is very much used in our database, as Sir Zaya mentioned, which is actually sometime equal to the select, but also it's also means it could be select, insert, update, or delete. For example, if I'll say what does it mean? It means that query could be insert, update, or delete, or select, whatever. So I hope you understand the basic terminologies and commands and basic concepts related to the SQL. So Sir Zia actually mentioned very good thing.
Okay, let's
Sir, please
start. But first thing is, there is a schema called public. Am I correct? If I'm looking at the website.
Yeah, this is the default schema actually. It is automatically available in our Postgres. We can create further schema, but public is always available. So we can start from here. As its
Okay.
name mention, whenever we will create a user, the user would have the rights, automatic rights to that public schema.
Okay. Now, how do we? The first thing is we want to create tables.
Okay.
In the
Now,
schema.
yeah. So we cannot create table. Your point is very valid. We cannot create tables in our database engine. We have to create table under a schema.
Oh,
So if
okay.
I want to store my table should not be available in the public schema. So I have to create another schema. Then I would be able to create a table.
So usually, what do database developers do? Do they create tables in public?
It depends upon, for example, there are two ways. If we are using a Postgres SQL for a single application, so we can use the public. But if you want to use multiple applications, we can multiple applications, so we can create different schema. But for the security reason, this is not recommended. For practicing, the public schema usually exists, and people sometime even, for example, if you want to test something, you can use this public schema and public tables and share with others. But it is not recommended to use this public schema for your enterprise level data, because whenever user start attacking, or hackers actually start attacking your database, they always go for the default thing, and public is a default thing. So there is a chances is very high that they try to hack that data table.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay. So, but you can, for practice, you can we can start from here. Otherwise, you can start or create a new schema and start making that thing. But I would suggest that we are not very much familiar about the Postgres. We will start from the public later on. If somebody suggests that he has done all public level work, so we will provide him how to create separate schema.
Okay, perfect.
Now, creating a table have two things. We can create tables directly from this interface as a create new tables, or we can write a command. Both are possible. For example, for testing, I want to create a table, so I could write a command create table users, and in the table I will say user ID int comma and this type of things. But because if you ignore a little thing, for example, if you ignore that comma, a single parenthesis, for example, I did not provide parenthesis, so you have a problem. So this is a better practice that you can use a table creation editor that is easy for you. What this table editor do actually, it actually generate that create table command automatically. So it's easy. So you have less chances that your create table command would have some syntax error. For example, you ignore or you forget to mention a comma, semicolon, or anything else. So this is a preferable thing, that if you create table using the table editor. But remind me later, I will tell you that we have also need to remember or store that command later on. So, sir,
Let's create a user table.
okay.
Now, what is this table names table space?
Okay. Now here we this is related to the physical database creation, that where our table will store its data. It looks very weird, but actually when you are working for an enterprise grade database server, you have multiple disks, so your performance and availability would be at higher level. So if you are going to store all the data on a single server, single data, single disk, the accessing would be not efficient. In most of the time, we have a multiple disk or storage available. So if we have that thing, we can store data onto different disks, and the efficiency would be higher, because processing speed is always, or memory speed is always higher than the disk. So if you have a 2 disk, so and 2 tables, so and you will send the request, so they will work in parallel. I hope I have made myself clear. It's a little bit about the parallelism.
Very nicely, very nicely.
Sir, but I'd suggest that please repeat for the audience.
But basically, what you are saying, table space is mapping your actual physical location of the table where you are going to store it. For example, if you have multiple disks, one is a SSD, therefore you can specify here that you can save the table on a SSD or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we have a multiple storage system, so we can divide our table data on a different storage. So it would be faster in performance. Anyone want to ask any question related to this?
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay. There's some other option exists. I'm not going to use it. This is a partition by. So and extra options. So I'm not going to use this, but partition means that you can also divide your partition, your data into different physical partition. For example, if I say a particular key, for example, user department. So there is a 5 department. So data will be stored in a 5 different files. Logically, I have a single table, but physically there would be 5 different files, and each data related to the user department will be stored to the particular file. So it will be helps us to retrieve data faster, because in such case, if I want to access all the data from a particular department, so it will scan only that particular partition or particular file, rather than scanning the complete table data. So I hope I have made myself clear once again. Sarzia, your
Yeah, very nice.
review
Very
about. Okay.
Very nice. Let's move ahead.
So this is why last time I am talking about that the difference between the logical database designing to the physical database design, and we can see that as we start designing our data with respect of our database server, we have also considering the physical relationship or physical designing consideration. So as you can see that we are not limited to the logical partition, we are also working a lot of related to the physical thing.
Yes, let's move ahead.
Okay, move ahead. Column, new column.
There's a button
Yeah, I missed that button actually in the screen.
in the bottom. Just
In the,
third last to the save button.
okay, in the bottom.
Yeah, at the bottom.
Yes, this. Yeah.
Yes.
So guys, this is the create new column, and I say user ID. Now here you can say there is a something special written is identity. Identity means we can.
Anish, cannot see your screen completely. I think you're
Okay.
not sharing.
Okay. Let me new share with the full database. Okay, is that, sir, visible now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so we have a user ID, and now we have to choose the data types. The one data type is a varchar.
What does
And,
Anish varchar means?
yeah,
Variable char.
actually, yeah, this is actually a very important thing you highlighted. Most of the people who are working in the RDBMS forget. There is a two thing. What is a char and what is a varchar? When we say, it's a little bit again physical. When we say char 100, it means that our database will always store 100 characters whenever saving the data for this. So it means there is a fixed length data. This is again the file or storage type of sequence. There are two type of things. Is the one is the variable storage, one is the fixed storage. So if I'm saying char, it means it will save always 100 characters. Even if I'll save only single character, when the data would be stored in the file, it will contain at least 100 characters. But when I say varchar 100,
You use varchar to save strings.
yeah. So whenever if I'll say if I'll give 10 character to store, it will use 10 characters. The maximum length would be 100. I cannot go beyond 100. But if I'll save only 10 characters, it will store only 10 characters. So there's a difference between the varchar and char. But
Usually for ID, you select integer or varchar or what?
yeah, this is nice. I'm going to the next type, that for the ID, there's a different type of things maybe happen. But for the ID, most of the time we use the identity column. Identity column is an integer column which automatically generate numbers. It is start from 1 and can go up to the length of that particular integer.
So what does
So,
by default means? It automatically creates it.
yeah.
So, but you have selected data varchar.
No, I will change it because by default now the choice is mine, that how much again there is a database issue that I need to identify that how much long that my key could be. For example, if I'll say integer, so can anybody tell me that how much long data I could store?
I think 32 bytes.
32 bits.
Bits.
Okay. But I guess the integer in databases are the 4 character long, 4 bytes long,
Okay.
or maybe 2 bytes. I didn't remember about that. So if in such cases, my identity would be generated by default or by always. Always means it will always be identity. So this is my
It will be
first
two
column. I
bytes.
have.
And under non-null, why is it showing square bracket? What does it mean?
It means that the null is allowed. Let me if I say not null, so now that column would not have any null data. Otherwise, we can store it blank. In a database terminology. Okay.
What does V mean?
V means this is an indicator. Okay. No, yaar. Okay, I have accidentally created a column and I need to remove this.
So V is a kind of check mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And that's it from the user ID. Now, the one thing we have already discussed, that we want to add a constraint. Why I am directly moved from columns to constraint, or maybe we can create some column first. For example, I'm creating a column.
Let's say create a name and a age.
Username. This should be a varchar and it should be 100. And another one. And this is a small integer. And the last thing, my favorite one, user DEPT. Okay, that's it. So we have a, let me remove it. So there should be some sequence. Okay. So what I can see that other than user ID, all things could be stored as null. And this is the thing we are going to. And the last thing is the constraint. I'm going to add a constraint, which is the new constraint. And this is already, the server is aware about that we are going to use or create a primary key, because primary key is always needed. So this is the table name, this is the constraint name, and this is the type of constraint. There is the three type of constraint exists in our RDBMS: primary key, unique key, and check. So I'm using the primary key, and I'm mentioning this. Actually, we have discussed in our last class that primary key and unique key is very much.
Oh, yeah, now I remember.
Yeah, same. The last one is a check that actually identify. For example, I could apply a check constraint that the department name should not be less than 10 and greater than 100.
Okay. Okay.
For example, I could add a check constraint that the age should not be from 20 and 60. Let's try the public user check constraint expression, but this does not providing. Okay, leave it for now. So we have a single constraint, and we have a columns, and we have a indexes. So currently,
do we have an
can,
index? By primary key is
no.
by definition an index.
When we will create this database, primary key would be created as an index, but we can also provide it further indexes. For example, just for the sake of definition, we could create an index on username, and we can also either use unique, make it unique, but I'm not mentioning the unique. So we have created an index. So we have a column, constraint, and index. Let's try to save it.
In constraints, can we put something like age greater than 0?
Yeah, we can.
Check type.
Okay. Later on, we will also try to add a constraint, but just for the make it simple, I'm just ignoring any constraint, just only using the primary key. Actually, this is also an issue that in the database, constraint should not be this type of hard-coded constraint is not very much recommended, because sometime you apply these constraints and forget to document it, and after some time when we were inserting our data or this type of things, we start raising this type of error, and it could because this is the last level of layer, our application could start working in this type of things. So it's better to have a proper normalization, make a constraint table and connect with your application. So your application should able to create constraints, and these constraints should be added. It is recommended that your business logic, for example, your department 10 to 100 or age this status, this is related to business logic. The business logic should not be in the databases. But anyway, you can do it for practice. So let's save it. And this is the command that is created for our behalf. So you can say there are two commands. One is for creating table, and the second one is a creating index. And you can see that the creating index command is different, and it's provided that we are going to use a index with the particular proper name on a particular table and a particular column. So I hope this is a very good practice that you keep safe somewhere. So next time, if you want to create a table, for example, you are testing this RDBMS data on your local machine, and then you want to deploy that thing. So you does not need to create tables again. You will use, you will copy this thing and create a and paste in a text editor and save that text editor. So next time, whenever you need to deploy your application from on a web or some other machine or some other databases, you won't need to waste your time here. You just need to just run these commands in a SQL text editor, and that is fine.
What is this object ID that just appeared?
Yeah, this is actually the physical ID of that table.
The data, we don't use it, the database uses it.
Mostly. But if you are a very involved type of database administrator, you also use this for identifying or providing security on the object level. But actually, you are absolutely right that we mostly use, and we are not recommended to use this object ID, because, for example, if I'm going to create that table to another machine, so the ID, the table ID might be changed. In such case, if you are using the object ID, would have a problem. Okay. So the table has been created. Now what we are going to use, let's see that our editor provide any tool to insert data. Export data, import, generate SQL, read data in the SQL, data copy, paste, rename, insert. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I could directly type this command on my text editor, but this DB were helping me. So what I need to do, I just provide the value of these columns. For example, I have a username. So I will whatever username I provide, for example. So rather than creating this command manually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to generate the template, and what now here I'm going to do department 10 and user image 30. Okay, you can see that there the 3 column exists, not the fourth one, because fourth one would be automatically generated by the database because it's an identity column. So let's run it if it's possible.
So do control enter or you can play it. Yeah.
Okay, it means that these things are not part of. So let me remove this thing. Okay, I'm using this button actually, na. So you can see the database has been provided a result that our value has been stored. Now I can view table, filter, view diagram, and view data. If I'll say view data, I can see there's a one row has been exists. So this is the walkthrough about the first layer. Why I need a little pause. Anyone from your side want to review this thing or asking any question, please?
Let me review it.
Okay.
What you just taught us was that first we used the data definition language, or we created a table in the schema public. In the public schema, we created a table called users, where
This
the
one?
user ID was automatically
ID.
generated. Can we check basically what table user ID constraints were that it is a primary key, and it was did we say auto generated in user ID, Anish?
Yeah, it is called actually auto generated technically, but it has a special name in our RDBMS called identity column.
Okay, there were, we specified it as an identity column, and basically put another constraint on it where we index the username,
Okay.
and then we inserted into database Anish data. Anish wants to be 30 years old,
Still.
and his department is 10, which is the number of Afridi. So therefore, he did a very good job of inserting the data. Now, I would like Anish to also insert me into this. You just have to copy it and run it.
Yeah, we can copy it and run it, but actually what this is my question to all. If I run these two commands, what would happen? How many total table how many total rows would be available in the database after running both commands?
I think
Anyone
by
can
There are 2 rows.
total rows, because one have already
Three.
inserted
3 rows
3 rows.
with same data except for the identity column. It will be 1, 2, 3.
Okay, fine. So this is why because why? Because we have generated identity column once again. Oh, for example, actually we are using identity column, so every time a new data would be created for the identity column. So here I am saying so we are aways and we are in a belongs to the same, and there are two things. So again, let's see view data, and we can say the Anis Ahmed and Oasis exist. I guess I did not insert this one. Sorry, boys. Where is the Awais Anis Ahmad. Okay, okay. This one is not. So, ठीक है. View data.
It might not be updating. Can you refresh it? You can
Yeah. Actually, I have to use this option, execute script. So that's it. Yeah. So because I have created, once again, I was not refreshing. I have created. So you can see that the Awais is and Zia Khan and Awais is added three times. Let's see if it's allowed to remove data from here. Of course, not. So now, from this point of view, there should be some refresh option.
Yeah, let's delete the data.
Okay. So this is a great thing we have already faced. That's we have a multiple data. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, and 6. So what I'll do, I'll write here, delete from users where user ID equals to 2, 3, 5, and 6. Okay, 3 or user ID equals to 5, 5 or user ID equals to 6. Let's see what happened. Okay, again, we'll see the view data.
So you have to refresh it again.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking for the refresh button here over here. There should be some refresh button.
There is a refresh under the file menu, and you can also refresh it by right clicking on the table. So then you can see the refresh.
Okay. View data.
Right side of the table, top
Yeah,
right
last
side.
Okay, this is, thank you. So this is, that's it. So we can see that we have removed this data. So just want to identify a very critical thing, that whenever you write use this button, control enter. So what it will do, it will run or execute only the current command. But if you want to run all commands, you have to use this button, execute a script. Script means the all commands available in this window would be executed, or this means only the selected command would be executed. Okay. So till here, anyone want to ask anything?
Should we could have, I think, use where in operator instead of using where multiple all the values like user ID
Yeah,
in
anything. I just mentioned the long way, but there is a lot of shortcut exist, and we will go further. I hope this command should run. No, not running here. User D. No, limit is not working in this. It should be, but anyway. So you can see the update command exists. So this is the all about, and here I could run the select static from users. So I does not need to run it. So I can see, so this is my SQL editor and this is the result area. So you can see whenever I run a command, I'll see the result. For example, if I'll run this command, so I will see the updated rows is this. And whenever I see this command, so you can also see there is a number of rows that is updated. And if I, so I hope that text editor and the DB Weaver is now very much familiar for you. Any question, Aves? Anything
sir.
from your side, yeah? Okay.
Let's create another table.
Yeah. Before creating the table, I want to share the ER diagram. So you can see there's the ER diagram exists. See, let's create another table and see that what happened to this thing. So again, I am going to create a new table. Now, if you want to use this IDE, you have to be very much familiar about where or what you are going to select things. For example, if you select public and then select right click, so you will see a lot of things. But when you select tables, and so you will select different things. For example, the create new tables only available when you select tables and then right click. If you are on a schema, for example, public, and say, so you won't see anything like create tables. You have a create schema, create tables, a lot of things. But if you are at a table selection, so you can have this command directly. So again, I am creating department and create new column.
Why are you selecting into? What does it mean?
Just for fun, actually. I have told you that the integer means 4-byte integer. So if you want to keep your data safe, you can use integer of 2 bytes. So it looks nothing special, but suppose you have a 100. For example, you have a 1 million rows. So you would have to save almost half of your storage data. Whenever you will store a department, it will occupy 4 bytes. So sometime it looks very weird, but it's a very common practice. Whenever you have a small size of data, try to keep your data size as small as possible, because if you have a small size of data, it not only help you to store your data in the less space on the storage, but there is another thing which called database buffer or database caching. So it means that if you have a cache, for example, you have 1 GB of the cache, and you want to store only department ID and department name. So if you have a 4-digit 4-byte long data, you have half data in your memory as compared with if you have used integer 2 bytes. So the ideal thing for all database architect and database administrator is that you try to keep most of data in your memory which is going to be used. This is called database buffering or database caching. So if you have a small data, it means more data you can keep in your cache. So if you have a larger data, try to create in 2 set. For example, if you want to save somebody's full name, so keeping full name is not a good practice. Rather than you try to break that full name into 2 or 3, for example, first, middle, or surname, or you can always use the nickname, for example. So sometime, most of the time, we use the first name. So you want just only to create your query that will only retrieve first name in your from your database to the memory rather than the full name. So you have a more first name in the memory as compared with the full name. So this is the actually idea behind when we are considering the database physical design as compared with the logical design. So sir,
Yeah,
did I
understood.
clear myself?
Yes. Now we have to make it identity column. not
Not because we are using our own numbers, for example 10, 20, 13, this type of thing.
Okay. So therefore, but it will be not null.
It would be not null. And for even for the varchar, we should have a not null. It means we cannot keep it blank. So these are 2 things. Again, we need a constraint with the primary key, and just for formality, not a requirement here, what I'm using index. It's not allowing to change the type. So again, if for there are 2 columns, 1 constraint and 1 index.
I think we will have to change the ID as a foreign key in the.
Actually, we have to assign foreign key in the user table.
Yes.
So let's save it first. Again, you should save this so you can create a script somewhere else. So next time you does not need to spend some time over here. So before creating, I could say more foreign key. Let's to test the foreign key. What I'm going to insert the records in records in the department table. So the department ID is 10 is executive. So let's run its insert into department. So this is the advantage of using the interface help. Otherwise, you forget anything and you'll get the error. The column name is not exist. Why name? Okay, name. Okay, let me generate the SQL for insert and see. Okay. This is a very important thing, that name is also a keyword in our. Okay, sorry, Vice, I forget to use. Okay, so now it should work now. What the hell is yeah? Okay, we have saved this. There is a problem with the name because name are also a keyword. So we can use the keyword, but whenever we use a keyword or reserved word of the database as a column name, we have to actually add this quotation to specify that this is our column name and it should not, and this is not a keyword or reserved word in our database. So that's why we are getting that problem. Okay, let's see. Okay, the two has been created. Now what I am going to do, I'm going to do this thing once again. Take a new name and say okay. Before going to run this command, what I am going to do, I am going to go in the user table and adding a constraint, which is this time a new constraint. Why it's not showing a foreign key constraint, which is
Because you have to go.
okay. From yeah. So in the users, I go the foreign keys and create a new foreign keys. Department, reference table. Okay. Okay. So let me start once again. When we going to create a foreign key, we have to provide that our existing data would be searched where. So we are saying that we were going to search department, and the department, it will going to search department primary key, but we did not mention the column, so we should mention here the column name. So here you can see the name of user department. The column name using in the users table is user department, but actually the column name exists in the department table is a department ID. So we are saying that whenever we will going to insert any data into user department column, it should be searched in the department ID column of the reference table, which is department. Now we are specifying foreign key. So what sort of action we are going to found? For example, where there are the three actions: cascade, restricted, set null, or set default. Cascade means whenever you delete the data from the master record, the reference column, it will be automatically deleted from the child records. Restrict means we would not allow to do that. And set null means that if we delete data from the department column, or so from the department table, it will automatically convert it to the null in the user department column of the users table. So I'm saying that make it restrict, that if we cannot remove data from the child table if it is exists. We cannot remove data from the master table if it exists in the child table. And
let me summarize, Anish. Basically,
yeah.
what you are saying is you are setting up a constraint, a foreign key. Actually, it's not a constraint, it's a foreign key, which basically says that you cannot delete a row in the department if it is referenced in the user table. Am I correct?
Yes. And on the update, again, the cascade, for example, if I'll change the table, the data from the referring table, it will automatically cascade to the reference table. So let's see what happened. So foreign key now exists. Okay. Now try to run this command. If command is run successfully, it means that the constraint is, I guess I forget to save the constraint whenever talking department. Okay. Now it will save. As you can see that constraint is not going to be enforced because the 40 table column is not exist. So I'll say the OK and I'm hold here. And what I'll do, I'll delete this record first. So it means that if you are going to enable a constraint and it is already violated in your referring table, you have to remove or change records before enabling the constraint. So the record has been removed. Now I could implement, I guess, this constraint. So now, because no other any record exists in our database, which was reason for the violation, we have a constraint. Now, if I am trying to insert this record, you can see that we will get the error. Why? Because 40 is not available in the referring column. I could add 20 here. If I'll change is 20, it would be saved very easily. Now, what I'm going to do, for example, I'm going to update a record. Let's see first what is going on there. View data. So there is a 20 record exist. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to update department set DPT ID equals to 30. Okay. So what I did the department ID 30 where the department ID is 20. So if I'll go and check the data in the department table, I can see that there is a 10 and 30. Okay. And when I'll go and see, so you can see that data is already changed in the referring table. Previously, as we remember that I have used this command 20, but if I'll go and check there, I find this 30. Why? Because I have created or enabled a foreign key, and after the foreign key, I have updated the data, and the foreign keys, my foreign key says that the update is cascade, while delete is restricted. So whenever I try to delete any data from the table which has any data into the referring table, it would be restricted. I could cascade also. Cascade means whenever I remove the data from the parent table, it will also remove the data from the related data from the child table. But I restrict it just as a practice. So you can change and practice whatever. So here we stop and ask any question, whatever in your mind. Or Sir Zia or Awais could have a little comment or review for our audience.
I think we have basically covered most of the things in a relational database, and we have covered. One thing we have not covered is how do we, for example, if a many-to-many relationship, we have covered a one-to-many relationship where a user is belonging to a department.
Yeah, actually, this is quite a good thing that first of all, by definition, many-to-many relationship are not exist. There is always is one-to-many relationship. For example, if a user work in multiple departments, so at least for the RDBMS implementation, we cannot direct that many-to-many relationship because it cannot exist, because in the referring table, we can only reference a column with the primary key. It means that there would be multiple record exist in the user table related to a particular department. But in the department, the user cannot be part of the multiple department because we cannot search it in the primary key. But keep it this a short discussion. We can add another table which would be called the intermediate table that would actually resolve the many-to-many relationship. So what we need to do, that we have to create another table which will call user department. And this has two columns. The one is integer, and of course it's not null, and one is a and using that thing, we can implement a many-to-many relationship. For example, here I could add a foreign key which says that my foreign key will reflect the users on the basis of user ID. And I'm taking, for example, Cascade, for example. And so now I have a two foreign key, and if I'll go to the I intended relationship diagram, so you can see now I am removing public okay. Abhi, I will remove letter because I have created some dependency. But actually, now a user could be a part of multiple departments, and multiple user content belongs to a single department. I'm saying why it's not if we can remove. Okay. So I'll check that why it's not removing, but again we'll go and check view diagram, so we can see that this is the implementation. Ignore this one, that this is direct relationship, but this is the way we can implement to many department. Sir, is that enough, or do I need to give some example?
Yeah, we have covered enough. What we are going to do is basically, if there are no questions, we are going to complete the class. In the next class, Ovais is going to show us how to use the serverless database, and then we go to the how we use SQL in programs in microservices and serverless environment. Any questions?
This is great enough. If you're watching the this video later on, you can also send your query to your Discord server. So the people in our PISC team would provide you answer related to these things. Okay. So
Okay.
I guess
I think we are done for today. And in the
Yes,
next
sir.
class, Ovais will cover Cockroach DB and other serverless. Ovais, you will take over from the next class.
Okay, sir. Okay.
okay.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you.